The wind howled over the wide Wyoming plains, rattling the old wooden shutters of a small, forgotten inn that stood like a stubborn relic on the edge of nowhere, and inside its dimly lit reception room, Samuel Reed, a man carved from years of hard ranch work, pushed the brim of his hat back and muttered, "Just one night, just need a bed, nothing more." He'd been on the trail for nearly 3 weeks, moving cattle through late-season snow and bitter wind, the loneliness clinging to him like the dust in his coat. He'd lost his wife to illness 5 years ago, and since then the ranch had been little more than a hollow place filled with the echoes of his own voice, so all he wanted tonight was to sleep without thinking, without remembering. The innkeeper, an old man with a limp, smiled faintly and said the only available room was at the top of the creaking stairs, but before Samuel could make it halfway up, the sound of soft laughter and a warm burst of perfume stopped him. A door to the side swung open, and out stepped 3 young women, each striking in her own way, the eldest, with dark hair and confident eyes that seemed to read a man's soul, the middle one, golden-haired with an easy smile that felt like sunlight in winter, and the youngest, with a cascade of auburn curls and a shy sparkle in her gaze. "You must be the new guest," the eldest said, introducing herself as Clara, and her sisters as Lily and Rose. Samuel tipped his hat politely, ready to excuse himself, but Clara's voice caught him, steady, warm, but edged with something urgent, as she invited him to join them for supper in the parlor. He wanted to refuse, to guard the little energy he had left, but there was something about their eyes, something that felt like they were waiting for him. At the table, conversation flowed more easily than he expected. They spoke not only of ranching and weather, but of dreams and hardships. How their parents had passed, how they ran the family property alone, how winters could be cruel when the woodpile ran low and the bills ran high. Still, they laughed together, teased each other, and Samuel felt an ache in his chest, not the ache of loss, but the ache of remembering what it was like to belong. After dinner, Lily brought out a guitar and sang softly while Rose poured coffee, and before Samuel knew it, hours had slipped by. Then Clara leaned forward, her voice quiet, "Mr. Reed, we have to ask a favor." The words hit him unexpectedly. He'd thought they were simply being kind. "Our barn roof collapsed last week under the snow. We've been trying to fix it, but we can't lift the beams alone. We were hoping," her voice trailed off, embarrassed. Samuel was silent for a moment, staring into the steam of his coffee, feeling the familiar tug of caution. He'd been burned before, taken advantage of. But then he saw the calluses on their hands, the dirt under their nails, the tired determination in their smiles, and something in him shifted. "I'll help," he said, and the gratitude in their faces was worth more than any bed. What was supposed to be one night turned into the next morning's hard labor, Samuel hauling beams, the sisters steadying ladders, their laughter mingling with the creak of wood, and by evening, the barn stood tall again. They invited him to stay for supper once more, then to stay the night again since it was late, and so the days bled into a week of shared work and shared meals. He fixed the fence line, Clara mended his worn shirt, Lily taught him an old song, Rose baked bread just to see him smile. In their company, Samuel began to feel something he hadn't in years, home. On the 7th evening, as the sun bled orange over the horizon, Clara handed him a small, worn book, her father's journal, filled with notes on ranching and life. And said, "You've given us back our strength, and maybe a bit of our hope." Samuel swallowed hard, realizing they had done the same for him. When he finally rode back to his own ranch, the loneliness didn't feel so heavy, the fences seemed straighter, the sky wider, the future not so empty. Months later, he returned, this time with a wagon of supplies, a promise to come back every week, and perhaps, though he didn't say it aloud, the quiet beginnings of something deeper with Clara. The 3 sisters had offered him more than shelter that night, they'd given him back his sense of purpose, and he knew now that sometimes, when you think you only need rest, what you really need is people who make you feel alive again.